Will more people be joining?
Sir, rest of the people will be on YouTube live when it will be updated.
YouTube.
Yes, sir. And this is the live recording, sir.
Okay, YouTube. So will this video get uploaded on YouTube, something like this? Because I think so. I just told Dr. Aman that I do not want the video to be uploaded on YouTube.
As you wish, sir.
Yeah, yeah, please, because there are some privacy etc. issues. So Dr. Aman, your voice is breaking for me. I do not know if it is for everyone.
Is it
Yes, Dr. Aman.
okay? Sir, I'm going to start. Yes, okay, sir. After all being present, so today we have speaker, Sir Amaan Ansari. If we talk about the sir's background, as a pharmacy professional having an overall 5+ experience of in clinical data management, started careers from Cognizant Technology Solution, worked in Pfizer as is a part of scientific. Having 1.5-year experience as CDM and career coach. Beside of this, Sir has collaborated with so many institutes like CR, CDM, PVRA, and SAS. And one more thing about the Sir is motivating to the students how they can get job in a better MNCs companies and what will be the possibilities and how they can proceed further. So welcome, Sir. Please start your session.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the warm welcome. I'm just sharing my screen. Can anyone please confirm if my screen is visible to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you so
Yes, sir.
much. So once again, I would just like to thank Dr. Amandeep and our respected principal for providing me this opportunity to interact with the students. So basically, this would be a clinical data management session with ISF College of Pharmacy. So yeah, with a welcome note, a very good morning or good afternoon to everyone. Uh, Our honorable welcome to our principals and our dear students. I hope the session would be interesting and informative for you. We would be discussing the basics about clinical data management and the basics about the career path. So the session would be for an overall 1 hour. Last 10 minutes I would be giving for questions and answers. If anyone has any questions, please attend the complete session. I request everyone to keep their cameras on during the session. The mic should be muted, right? Because we are giving at least 10 minutes at the end of the session for the question and answers. And please choose a quiet place and attend the complete session, right? So a session is successful whenever the presenter and the attendees both give their 100%. So I as a presenter would try to give my 100%. I will take you through the basics of CDM, what is the scope is in CDM, what is the career in CDM. And I am a very basic person, means I interact with students and try to explain them the concept in very simple language, guys. Sessions can be done anyhow, but the importance is that the students who are attending and the attendees should understand the concept, right? So we will follow a practice that we will learn very less, but what we ensure that whatever we see, whatever we learn, we have very good information about it. So yeah, please choose a place with good connectivity. For suppose in between I get disconnected, I have just checked my connectivity etc is good. But for suppose if I get disconnected due to some issue, please do not start leaving the session. I'll just check my connectivity back and I'll be back as soon as possible. So yeah, the topics that would be covered in today's session is the introduction of the presenter. Dr. Amandeep has already introduced, but I'll take you through my basic introduction. We would be seeing the definition of the CDM. Many people know the definition of CDM, but that is some Google definitions, right? What we all follow today is the trend of Google. Everything you find in Google. Even people are not concerned to contact a doctor if they are getting some disease. They go and check Google. Okay, this medicine is for this disease, etc. Any information they want, they go to Google. But Google definitions are absolutely correct. They are experts who put in their definitions. But what I want is that people should understand what is CDM practically. Okay, so we would be taking through the definition of CDM. We would see how CDM, what is CDM. People just know CDM, how it came, what is the importance, etc. They do not know. So we would be seeing how CDM was born. Then we would be seeing drug discovery and development basic process. Then we would be covering a part clinical trials and the basic process of CDM. Further, we would be seeing the stakeholders in clinical data management. The database stakeholders means the people who are involved in clinical data management, various professionals. Clinical trial is a very big thing, right? So we would be seeing it. We would be seeing the databases that are used in CDM, clinical data management databases that are used. Then the last and the most important parts, jobs, the organizations that are providing jobs in CDM and how to prepare for these jobs. Okay. And at the end, as I told you, we would be having a 10 minutes question and answer session. So the part which I have not covered, and if you have some doubts in that part, we can discuss it at the end. So yeah, starting from my introduction, my name is Aman. Basically, I live in Mumbai. Okay, I'm based in Mumbai, Maharashtra. I'm a pharmacy professional. I have an overall 5+ years of experience into clinical data management. I have worked across multiple organizations like Cognizant. Cognizant is a IT firm which is dealing in projects of clinical data management. Further, I moved to Parexel, which is a big clinical research organization, or you can call it as basically a contract research organization. And currently, I'm working with PPD. So PPT, pharmaceutical product development, it is a very big CRO. It is based in almost around 50+ countries. Similar way, Parexel is also based in 50+ countries. Further, with my job, I have been training people in CDM. I have been associated with around 4+ institutions that are providing certificate courses. CR means clinical research, CDM means clinical data management, PV refers to pharmacovigilance, RA refers to regulatory affairs, or you can call it as DRA, drug regulatory affairs, MW refers to medical writing, and SAS, statistical programming. Okay, so with my job, I have been training, means it is just a part-time work. Look, nowadays there is a trend of certificate courses. I'll be talking, it is a very important part, and I'll be speaking on it at in the middle or at the end of the session. Initially, when I started my career 5 years back, so there was not a trend of certificate courses. People were B Pharm graduates, M Pharm postgraduates, and they were entering the fields of clinical data management, PVRA, etc., without certificate courses. So the number of institutions were also very less. But now, as there is a trend of certificate courses, every fresher who completes B Farm, M Farm thinks that if I get a certificate course, I will get a job. So this thinking is pretty much incorrect. This is a wrong thinking that freshers have. So due to this approach of freshers and this thinking, even people do MSc biotech, MSc microbiology, etc. And they think that if we do certificate courses into CDM, PV, etc., we'll go get a job in CDM, PV. So they are going to this certificate courses, and due to this certificate courses, so many organizations have come into existence, right? So I am in the market, you will find some good organizations who are just working for the enhancement of knowledge of people, and you will find some people who are just bothered about money. They just fool freshers and they just enroll them in their certificate courses. After that also they do not have knowledge and job. So I am working as a helping hand, as a career coach, to clear the minds of freshers that certificate course is not mandatory for getting a job. Yeah, it is important, but I am focusing on something called as knowledge versus certificate. We'll be discussing it at the end of the session. So currently I have around 28,000 followers on LinkedIn. I hope people must be knowing LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a professional platform where people from all over the world come together. They help each other for getting jobs. There are people from various organizations, various fields. So I have around 28,000 followers on LinkedIn, and I post regularly on LinkedIn for guiding freshers. So yeah, starting with clinical data management. Are there any students in the session currently, or there is only teaching staff? Because I just want a session to be a bit interactive. We can discuss something. So are there any students, or there is only teaching staff?
The students are also there, one from M Pharma, second from B Pharm.
Okay. So yeah, can you please tell me the definition of CDM? What is the definition of CDM? Anyone? What do you understand by the word clinical data management? This question I ask many freshers who have done certificate courses from various organizations. I ask them the question, what is clinical data management? So they just tell me some Google definitions. As I told you, nowadays there is a trend of Google. So people just memorize the definition from Google. Like we have in Three Idiots, like Chatur, what is the definition of a machine? A machine is blah 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 blah. Okay, whatever it is, some definition that they have memorized. But practically, what do you understand by clinical data management? So I want to hear from you, any one of the students who are present over here. We'll be moving forward quickly. Come on, please. Look, this is a very important part. If in this particular session people understand the definition of clinical data management, then too this session would be a successful session. Because I have seen many people, I'm not talking anything from the sky. I have seen many people who have done certificate courses from good organizations, who are the toppers of their colleges, etc. So they also just memorize these Google definitions. So these Google definitions do not help people in the interview. This is the reason why people are getting rejected. So yeah, you can use Hindi as well, you can use some other language as well. I want to hear from you practically with the example, what do you understand by clinical data management? If not, then I'll be moving forward and I'll be explaining you practically what is clinical data management.
Actually, sir, I think you may please ensure and about how these things are going on. Students are not much aware about that.
Okay, okay, no issues, no issues. So should I move forward?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So basically, clinical data management refers to the collection, cleaning, analysis, and management of clinical trial data as per regulatory compliance. It is a process in which the clinical trial data, I'll be going in detail as well, don't worry. But for now, the basic definition is it is the process of collection, cleaning, and analysis and management of clinical trial data as per regulatory compliance. Clinical data management is not data entry. Freshers, please clear your concept that clinical data management is not data entry. Okay, if it would have been data entry, it would have been called as clinical data entry. Okay, so why we use the term clinical data management, as it is not data entry. When I have a conversation with many freshers, they say clinical data management is data entry. No guys, clinical data management is not data entry. It is a process in which clinical trial data is collected, it is cleaned, and it is managed as per regulatory compliance. Okay. Now we would be seeing in further slides how clinical data management came, and we would be understanding this definition practically. So how CDM was born? So you can consider this as clinical data management is the son is born from the father, that is clinical trials, and clinical trials comes from drug discovery and development. I'm just repeating the chain again. It is very important to understand this chain. So clinical data management comes from clinical trials. Clinical trials, the four phases of clinical trial: phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. Clinical trials is nothing but the testing of drugs. You can call it as a investigational product, IP. Okay, guys who all are attending the session over here as well and on YouTube as well, I just request, because I tell all the audience in my session that whenever you are attending any session, it is very important to sit with a paper and pen, because all the trainer who is training you or who is taking the session would be explaining everything on the basis of his or her experience, right? So there would be many key points that I would be telling you. So if you take a paper and pen and note down the key points, so it will help you in the future. Okay, so please take a paper and pen and just continue with the session. So clinical data management, CDM, is the son, clinical trials is the father. Okay, and drug discovery and development is the grandfather. Guys, why I'm just taking these very simple examples? As I told you, my motto is not to just take this session and complete this session. My motto of taking this session is that you should get some output from this session. Okay, so the chain is drug discovery and development, grandfather; clinical trials, father; and CDM is the son. So what happens in drug discovery and development? I'll not be taking you in very detail, but just basic. So scientist discovers a molecule or a drug that is having some biological activity, right? So after that, the drug is converted into a suitable dosage form, right? We have different methods of drug invention or drug discovery. Like we have serendipity, from which penicillin was discovered. We have its derivatives like amoxicillin now, which is widely in use. We have molecular modification, we have random screening, etc. So after all that, we have preclinical trials, that is animal trials. We have in vitro and in vivo trials. And after preclinical trials, there is a IND, that is submitted, investigational new drug application, for seeking permission for clinical trials. In clinical trials, we have phase 1, phase 2. I would not be discussing anything in detail in this slide. It is just that I want to bring you to clinical data management. That is why I'm using these steps, right? If I take you directly towards clinical data management, you will not understand. You will say, oh, what is clinical data management? From where it came, like, right? So to make you aware from where CDM comes, that is why I'm taking the help of these steps. Okay. So human trial, 3. Phase 1, we use healthy volunteers basically, and after phase 3, there is a new drug application that is submitted to the regulatory agencies, and we have phase 4. So basically, CDM deals with the management of data in phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 clinical trial data gets collected. Okay, at the clinical trial site, we would be coming to that topic. It gets collected at the clinical trial site, and it is managed in a clinical trial database. So yeah, this is a very simple process to explain you what happens, okay, in a clinical trials in very simple language. Guys, I tried to make it as simple as I can to make you aware of what happens. So a new clinical trial is about to start. Let us consider it is a migraine study. So I hope you all know that phase 2 and phase 3 studies are requires patients with target disease. For suppose it is a migraine study, we require patients that have migraine. For suppose it is a oncology study, anti-cancer study, different type of cancers, we require patients which have that cancer. Let us consider our study related to the a respiratory disease, that is asthma or COPD. So we require patients that have asthma or COPD. Why? For suppose there is a migraine study and a patient doesn't has migraine, he or she cannot enroll in this particular study. Why? If it is a phase 2 or phase 3, because in phase 2 and phase 3 we have to determine the efficacy of the particular drug, efficacy, how effective the drug is. So let us consider I do not have migraine and I am enrolling in a particular study, migraine study, and I am not having that particular disease. So we cannot judge the effect of that particular drug. So please remember guys, phase 2 and phase 3 studies, we require patients with target disease, means the disease for which the particular IP, please note this term guys, IP, investigational product, is being tested. Okay, so if it is a migraine study, the inclusion criteria would be the patient should have migraine. There are many inclusion criteria. The patient should have migraine since last 3 years. Okay, the migraine of the patient should have started from 20 years of age, something like this. There are many criteria. I do not want to go in detail. For now, just remember, if a trial needs to be started, the sponsor gives a advertisement with the inclusion criteria, that this is the criteria that you need to fulfill to get enrolled in this particular trial. After that, what happens? Patient with target disease walk in at the clinical trial site, okay, for screening visit. So basically these are hospitals, okay, clinical trial site. So patients, there would be a particular date, first patient first visit date, FPFV. You will get to hear this term FPFV, first patient first visit in clinical trials. That is why I'm telling you, please take a paper and pen and note down FPFV. So first patient first visit. After the advertisement, the participants will come. Let us consider me, I went to the clinical trial site. Okay, these are basically a design of a hospital. So what will happen? Inform concerned process, ICF, inform concerned form. So I would be signing a inform concerned form. So guys, I just relate this clinical trial example to a hospital. Guys, what happens if um, any of your friends or relative get admitted to a hospital for a planned procedure? Let us consider as LASIK eye surgery or something like this, planned procedure. So the first thing that you do, go to the hospital and do, is fill the admission form. Now do not say that we go, first thing that we do is we pay money. Okay, let us keep aside. First thing that you do is fill the admission form, right? Similarly, in clinical trials, the first thing that is done is ICF, inform concerned form. So this is a form. What happens is the principal investigator, PI, okay, principal investigator, what he does, he has a one-on-one interview with the clinical trial subject. He explains him all the trial aspects. What is the trial? What is the duration of the trial? Okay, what are the centers? How many patients will be volunteered? What is the inclusion exclusion criteria? What are the safety assessments that are performed? What are the efficacy assessments that would be performed? What is the risk and benefit ratio of the clinical trial, etc., etc., everything. So the principal investigator, please remember this term, PI, okay, principal investigator, will explain the subject all the process. After that, the subject will be given a voluntary consent, okay, according to his will. If he or she is interested, he will sign the ICF and he will enroll in the particular trial. Please remember, without signing the ICF, a clinical trial participant cannot enroll in a particular clinical trial. So this ICF topic is very big. It would take around 1 hour to explain what is ICF, just as a basic now. After that, the inclusion exclusion criteria would be seen. Inclusion criteria, let us consider age should be between 18 to 60. So if the participant is 17 years old or 16 years old, he or she cannot enroll in the trial. Okay. So this is the age criteria, simple. Then there would be screening assessments, safety assessments that would be performed, guys. Let us consider I want to donate blood. There is a blood donation campaign and I want to donate blood. So if a person who himself doesn't has any blood in his body, if he goes and donates and he has some vertigo or dizziness, then what will happen? उसमें खुद में खून नहीं है और वो खून डोनेशन कर रहा है तो क्या होएगा? So, right. So, before blood donation, there is a physical examination that is done, right? Physical examination would be performed, and if he qualifies the physical examination, then only he will donate blood. Okay. So, similarly, here, now you will be giving him the investigational product. Guys, please remember, in a clinical trial, the drug is called as a IP, investigational product. You do not know what effect it will have on the cardiovascular system. You do not know what effect it will have on your respiratory system. You do not know the effect of the drug. It is just an investigational product, okay, that you are testing. So a person should be fit, right, for taking that particular drug. Hence, there are some screening assessments like vital signs. Vital signs involves pulse rate, systolic, diastolic, blood pressure, respiratory rate. Then there is PE, means physical examination. Laboratory tests will involve various hematology and biochemistry tests and ECG. Okay. So these are some examinations like screening or safety examinations that would be performed. If a subject qualifies these screening examination, he or she would be given the study drug. Okay. I do not want to go in detail over there. Now I'm coming back to the topic. So let us consider vital signs is performed, right? Pulse rate, respiratory rate, systolic, diastolic, blood pressure, temperature as well. Okay, ECG is performed. So the principal investigator would be performing these examinations, and the data of those examination would be collected on the paper case report form. Paper case report form, please note this term CRF, case report form. Okay, I'm again repeating CRF, case report form. So similarly, in a hospital, what happens? In a hospital, whenever a patient gets admitted due to any reason, first thing is that vital signs are performed: blood pressure, temperature, okay, respiratory rate. So the doctor performs the examination, and the data is collected on the patient's file, right? Every patient has a file in hospital. So patient's file, it is collected by the nurse or the assistant of the doctor. So over here, there would be a clinical research coordinator. Again, I'm repeating, clinical research coordinator, that is the CRC. He would be collecting the data on the paper CRF. Okay. Now, from the paper CRF, the data would be entered on the eCRF, that is the electronic case report form or the database. So the CRC, clinical research coordinator, collected the data on the paper CRF, and from the paper he is entering the data into the database. So the data entry will be the job of the principal investigator. Sorry, CRC, clinical research coordinator. Okay. Now, what is the role of the CDM team? Clinical data manager. CDM people are called as clinical data manager. So what would be the clinical data manager's role? He will review the data and he will ensure its compliance with the study protocol. I do not want to go in detail about the protocol. It is the first document that is designed before starting a clinical trial. Without designing a protocol, a clinical trial cannot be initiated. So he will review the data consistency or the data compliance. Okay, please note down the terms, guys. Terms are very important. Data consistency or data compliance with the protocol. Okay, it is the clinical trial, guys. This data that is collected will be going to the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, for the drug approval, right? So you cannot send any data you collected, any data you entered, and you send it to the FDA. Will the FDA approve the drug? No. So guys, please remember, CDM is a very critical process. The approval of drug depends on the data consistency and the data integrity. You invest billions of dollars in clinical trials, you hire very good doctors, physicians who are MDs. Okay, they are the principal investigator, you have a very good clinical trial site, everything. But guys, if the data management process fails, data management process fails, data is not clean, so the drug would get rejected. Okay, or second thing, there would be a review of the data. So if there is a review of the data by the FDA, so it will take again around 10-15 days or a month more. So that much time that the FDA is taking more to approve the drug will cause a loss, billions of dollars lost to the sponsor. Why guys? Come on, anyone has an idea why the delay in approval of the drug will would cause a loss to the sponsor? Dr. Amandeep, I'll just like to excuse for.
So it might be due to the, we can say that, less information about the drug or the actual evidence which you have company have submitted in front of the agency. The reason might be the, I think so, data presented by a company in front of that firm.
Sorry, Dr. Amandeep, can you please repeat? Sorry.
Presented by that particular firm.
Okay. I'm not able to hear. I don't know why your voice is breaking for only me or everyone. Hello. Am I audible to everyone? I don't know. Dr. Amandeep's voice is breaking. I don't know. Is it for me? Okay. Okay. I'll continue with the topic. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Amandeep. Thank you. So there is a patent, right? This is a innovator drug. So there is a patent. After the approval of the drugs, there would be a 5 to 7 years that only the sponsor who has invented the drug can market it. After that, after the patent expires, there would be some generics coming into the market. Okay. So the billions of dollars that the investigator, sorry, that the sponsor has invested in the discovery of the drug, he has these 5-7 years to get it back. Okay. So the delay in approval will cause the delay in marketing, and the delay in marketing will lead to a loss to the sponsor. Okay, guys. So the data, if the data will not be consistent, there would be a delay in approval. So this is the main reason why CDM is very much important. I hope you got the basic, that from where CDM came into and what is CDM. It is very important to just not be confused about what is CDM. Many people think CDM professionals do data entry. It is a data entry job. They do not know that it comes from clinical trials, and this is the role of CDM. So basically, you go anywhere into the world, CDM would be divided into three phases. It's not about a particular company or a particular organization or a particular sponsor. You go for Pfizer, you go for Johnson and Johnson, you go for Novartis, you go for Sanofi, you go from big sponsors. Their CDM process would be divided into three phases. The first phase is study startup or study setup. Okay. First is protocol development, database designing, and database validation. So as the assessments would differ from therapeutic area to therapeutic area. Okay. Oncology trials would require different assessment. Basically in oncology, the main assessment is the CT scans. Okay. Oncology, because you have to determine the diameter of the lesions. Okay, so CT scans are very important as considered to oncology trials. Now if you come for migraine or any other therapeutic areas, so there would be different assessments that it would require: blood parameters or x-rays, let us consider, or ECGs, whatever it is. So every clinical trial has requires a new database to be designed. Some clinical trials will go on for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, etc. Right? So every clinical trials require a database designing. So first thing that would be done is the protocol development. Protocol will have that how the clinical trials would be conducted, what would be the sites, what would be the schedule, etc. According to the protocol, the database would be designed and the database would be validated. So these all comes under startup. This is a very important part of startup, guys, database designing. Okay, I do not want to go in detail because if I want to explain database designing, it will require at least 4 or 5 sessions. Okay, then comes conduct. After the database is designed, the CRCs would start entering the data into the database, that is the ECRF. So query management, manual data review, okay, and external data reconciliation. So what is query management? If there would be any incorrect data or non-compliant data, as I told you, CDM people will not have an access to edit the data. We can just raise a query on that particular data, that this data is expected to be in this format or in this range, however it is this, please give a reason or update the data. So we can raise a query on a particular data. Here I would just like to take a simple example, guys. We have our respected professors over here. So when you give some assignment, okay, to your students, okay, let us consider you are giving any assignment to your students or any projects. Okay, so here consider the students are the clinical research coordinators and you are the CDM people. So let us consider I am your student and Dr. Amandeep is my professor, right? He gave me an assignment or project. What I did, I completed the project and I share it with Dr. Amandeep for review. So whatever mistakes I have done, so what Dr. Amandeep will do, he will not correct it. He will just write remarks. Okay, these are the places, and wherever I have not done any mistakes, so Dr. Amandeep just tick it. Right? Yeah, Dr. Amandeep, are you trying to say something?
Yes, definitely. The person who have identified their problem, they just have to suggest them. These are the pathways you have to
Yes, very good.
follow. After follow that, you might be able to remove all kind of problems from that concern.
Yes, similarly. Thank you. So, Dr. Amandeep, what he would be doing, I would be submitting my project to him, and whatever data points or the subject or the topics that I have covered are correct. So he will just tick it, okay, this is correct. And whatever he feels it is incorrect, so he will write his remarks. Okay, he will not go and correct it. Okay, I am writing on your behalf, I am correcting it. Correct, Dr. Amandeep? You would just be writing remarks or you would be giving suggestions. Okay, you will not correct it. Similar way, a clinical data manager is a professor. Okay, he would be not correcting the mistakes that the CRCs have made in the data entry. He would just give the suggestions. Okay, this is this has to be this. So that is called as query management. Okay, and at the study closeout, the third phase would be the study closeout, in which we have the freezing part and the locking part. Okay, So for now, as a fresher, and the basics to the students is just that they need to remember what is startup, what is conduct, what is closeout. Okay. This is a basic diagram to explain you. A protocol is designed, guys. Protocol is a very important document. Okay. It is not only for CDM, it is for entire clinical trial. The first step that any sponsor is basically a pharmaceutical or biotech company. The first step that a sponsor did is preparing a protocol. We had the COVID vaccine trials, right? AstraZeneca. Okay. That is the, we had the Covaxin of Bharat Biotech. Okay, and we had the Covishield of AstraZeneca, right? So all the process was followed was the same: designing the protocol, enrolling patients, having the testing of the vaccine on that particular subjects, etc., etc. So this was also a clinical trials. It was just a fast track clinical trials. Okay, so protocol designing, then the case report form design, that is the database design, database validation, data collection. I've already given an example of data collection. What happens? The assessments are performed by the principal investigator and the data is collected on the paper case report form. Data entry, you can see a symbol of a laptop, right? So data is collected on the paper case report form and it is entered into the electronic case report form. Why can the data be just, why we need to enter it into a electronic case report form? Why paper case report forms are not enough? So guys, let us consider an example of a clinical trial that is being conducted in China. It is conducted in Japan as well. It is conducted in Italy as well. Okay, it is conducted, it is performed in different countries or different cities of USA as well, United States of America. It is performed in UK as well. It is performed in UAE as well. So clinical trial is not performed only in India. Okay, let the example that I gave of migraine trial. So it's not compulsory it will be performed only in one country. It would be performed across various countries and various cities. Okay, so designing a database gives easy access. People from China also can enter the data. People from Japan, US, UK, everyone can enter the data, and you can have the patient data in a single repository. Okay, otherwise so much of you would be having so much of papers, etc. Okay, you cannot transport it. Okay, so this is a way. So data collection, then data entry. Okay, data cleaning. As I told you, data cleaning, we gave an example of Dr. Amandeep, right? He would be reviewing my project, and if there are any mistakes in my project, he would be giving suggestions or remarks. So that is cleaning. Okay, similar way, the CDM team would be reviewing the clinical trial data that the CRC will have entered. If it is not compliant with the protocol and other study documents, we would be giving a remark, that is queries. Okay. Stakeholders involved in clinical trial sponsor. A sponsor is a person who finances the clinical trial, right? It can be a pharmaceutical, mostly these are pharmaceutical or biotech companies. Pfizer, Novartis, Sanofi, Bayer, etc. There are many pharmaceutical companies. Okay, Mankind, okay, Glenmark, GSK. Principal investigator, he is a qualified doctor, MBBS or MD, who is responsible for the conduct of the entire clinical trial at the clinical trial site. Every clinical trial site will have a principal investigator. Similar way, we have sub investigators, sub I, we have CRCs, we have monitors, we have CRAs, we have data management team, we have a clinical programming team. Okay, so clinical programming team would be programming the database, etc. We have a safety team, because if there would be a clinical trials, there would be adverse events. Many people do not know the definition of adverse events as well. Again, Google comes into action. Google definitions, practically no knowledge. Serious adverse events, what are serious adverse events? So there would be a safety team who would be responsible for monitoring the serious adverse events. Serious adverse event is any life threatening event, okay, permanent disability, prolonged hospitalization, that is hospitalization more than 24 hours, okay, etc. There are many serious adverse events. Just basics. Medical monitors, SAS team. So different databases that are used in CDM. First is Medidata Rave. Rave is the most common database and the most widely used database for clinical data management. It is the most costly, okay, and it is the most widely used database into clinical data management. Every sponsor, every pharmaceutical companies use Rave, okay, Medidata Rave. Then comes Inform. Inform is also a widely used database. Then we have less used database like Oracle Clinical Data Labs, ClinTrials, etc. This is just a screenshot because the access to database is not allowed. Okay, these are confidential, data is confidential. So this is a screenshot which I got from Google. Okay. So this is the study number, this is the hospital's name, this is the patient's number, etc. So this is how the home screen would look. This is a inform home screen. You can see enroll, subjects, queries, review, reports, etc. There are many things that are there in the database. Yes, Dr. Amandeep, please.
Sir, what is the name of this software?
I'm not able to hear you, Dr. Amandeep. Medidata Rave. Rave is the
Sir,
most
what is
widely
the
used
name of this
database.
software?
Rave, RAVE, Medidata Rave. Which software?
Sir, I am
And
asking
then you
about this.
have Inform.
Okay, okay, got it.
So basically, these are softwares only, but these are the clinical trial database. So you can note down two names, that is Medidata Rave and the second is Inform. Now comes the main thing which freshers wants is jobs. Many people ask me what is the scope of CDM. So guys, what is the term that you determine scope? How you determine scope? Is scope related to the salary? Salary is good, then scope is good. Is scope related to the company's name? If company is good, then the scope is good. Okay, these are the parameters. But what I myself, I may be wrong, but what I myself determine scope is that, let us consider I want to make a career into CDM. So I know that I cannot move outside India. My parents are in India, my parents won't allow me. So I'll see that how many companies I have in India that are giving you jobs in clinical data management. If I have at least 10, 12 companies that are giving you jobs in clinical data management, I'll consider that the scope is very good. Why? Because if, let us consider, there are 15 companies that give you job in clinical data management, you spend 2 years in a company as well. Now the rehiring process is also there. Companies hire you again after 5 years. So if you spend 2 years in a particular company, 30 years of your career you can spend. Okay. So if you started your career at the age of 25, 25 plus 30, 55 years, right? At the age of 60, you would just retire 60, 65. That is also not guaranteed, right? So I always tell freshers that if you want to see the scope, see the number of companies that are giving you job. Because let us consider I work 2 years in PV, then I go 2 years in CDM, then I go 2 years in regulatory. So my experience is mostly not considered. I'm using the term mostly. It may be considered sometimes, but mostly it is not considered. Okay. So the first and the foremost thing for freshers is to select the career domain which is good for their career. There are many freshers who go for medical scribe, they go for medical coding, they go for billing, etc. And after that, they go for online pharmacy like NetMeds and PharmEasy, and they want to come as a fresher into CDM after 5 years, guys. So you wasted your 5 years of your experience as well. The salary package will also come as as a fresher's salary. So the scope of CDM is that you have three types of organizations that give you jobs. First is IT companies like Cognizant, TCS, Accenture. So basically this domain is called as life science. These companies have projects of pharmaceutical companies for data management, IT companies. Then comes the number of CROs, contract research organizations. So these have the end-to-end trial responsibility. CROs like IQVIA, Parexel, LabCorp, Icon, PPD. You have Biorasi as well. Okay, and you have many other companies. Sponsors like Pfizer, Novartis, Sanofi. You have GSK as well in Bangalore. You have Eli Lilly as well in Bangalore. So many companies. So basically, many freshers do not know these are the reasons due to which they get rejected in the interview. Lack of knowledge. They just want jobs. So a fresher called me and he was telling, am I talking to Cognizant Pharma when I was working in Cognizant? So I asked him a question. Have you taken any tablet or capsule or syrup or injection of Cognizant? So he was like, no. So I told, how can you call Cognizant a pharmaceutical company, guys? So Cognizant is a IT company which is dealing with projects of life science like data management. So why I'm telling you these points are, you think it is freshers think that it is very small point, right? But these are very big points. Many freshers approach me and tell that I want a job in CDM. I tell them that okay, it's not just just fooling them or just taking some it's not just gambling them, but these are basic questions due to which they get rejected. I tell them, can you tell me any five companies that give jobs in CDM? I'll refer you for an interview. So they are not able to take five companies names as well, guys. So what is the reason I'm telling these two students of ISF College of Pharmacy that you should be prepared, because these are the questions asked in the interview. If you go for an interview into Parexel, okay, or any other organization, IQVIA, they will ask you what is the mission and vision of IQVIA. Okay, what what is the year of establishment of IQVIA, who is the CEO of IQVIA, okay, etc., etc. These basic questions about the company, so you need to be aware. Interview preparation for CDM, you generally have a group discussion round. Discussion comes into picture when you are having a location based interview or a walk interview or a HR call. If group discussion is not there, you will get a HR call. Basically this call is to judge your communication skills, and the group discussion is also to judge your communication skills. I'll just be taking more 2 minutes. Aptitude test, video or face to face interview, okay. Then project manager round of interview. Video or face to face would be taken by the leads, etc. Then the project manager would come into picture. Now, if you want to prepare for the most important round, that is the face to face or the video interviews, you should have very good knowledge of drug discovery and development. You should have very good knowledge of clinical research. You should have very good knowledge of ICH-GCP, good clinical practices, and you should have very good knowledge of the basics of CDM. And there are many more. Okay. So with this, I guess I have completed. Initially, I was planning to take a career guidance session for your college ISF, because that is very important. I want to make them understand what are the different fields, what is the competition in the market. As you can see, waking up from your dream, how to get a job, what is the basic process to get a job, how to select a career domain, etc., etc. But yeah, due to lack of time and discussion with Professor Amandeep, we just stuck to the point of clinical trials and CDM. I hope this with this I would just end the session. I think the session. I hope I would be just putting it over to Dr. Amandeep. Okay. I hope the session was beneficial for you and you got to understand.
So thank you so much, Amaan Ansari sir, for your valuable talk. Sir, I have got three, four questions from students. Sir, one student raised the question, what is the role of CRF? in hospital?
CRF is a case report form. Okay, CRF refers to case report form. So basically, the data, let us consider vital signs as I give example. So pulse rate, respiratory rate, whatever the reading would be there of the subject. So it would be collected on that case report form.
Okay, sir. One more question from students. Sir, one student I have question arise. If someone is, uh, we can say that filing a inaccurate reporting, then how this we can that this data reporting can be useful.
Can you please repeat the question? Inaccurate reporting in the sense who is filing?
So, for example, if someone is filing inaccurate data in case of hospital, then how we can manage and how we can identify.
So we have different study documents or different parameters, different program reports. I gave an example of a particular vital signs form, right? So in the vital signs form, there would be a report program that we require this data to be in this particular logic. Okay, so we will pull the vital signs report, and whatever inconsistent or inaccurate data would be there, that would be reflected in that particular report, and we will review the report, and after that we will query on that inaccurate or inconsistent data.
Sir, one more question from students. Is there any kind of software which will help to find out the errors in data?
No software as such, we have just program reports. Look, rave or inform, whatever the database itself is a software, and in that software we would have the programmed reports. Okay, using that reports we will identify the particular error in that particular data or case report form. I just gave an example of vital signs, similar way the ECG form, similar way the laboratory form. If any data is incorrect or inconsistent, it would reflect in that particular report. So every different form will have different report. Whatever data would be entered into the database, we would have means or parameters or report to cover all that particular data.
Okay, sir. Thanks. Sir, happy to share that one student is asking, sir, when the rest of portion will be covered by you. As you see in the PPT, okay, various careers guidance, various slots will be availability, jobs. Students are asking, sir, when next will be considered.
We'll plan for it soon, probably this month or next month. But I would just request, I don't know your procedure, whatever it is, I would just request the students to come live on this session, only Google Meet rather than YouTube live.
Okay, okay,
I
sir.
hope students are
Definitely.
listening to me, guys.
Yes, sir.
Look, knowledge is something that would give you jobs. Nothing else would give you job. No colleges. Your college is very good, you will give them campus placement, etc., opportunities. Okay, but at the end, if a person doesn't has knowledge, you are referring, the college is referring for 100 interviews also, you will not crack it. Okay, guys, so the knowledge is something which is very important, and how to gain knowledge is with some practical or instructor led training. You think you will get knowledge from YouTube, you will get knowledge from Google, etc., so that would be just a image of knowledge, that would not be real knowledge. Okay, so please focus, not only for me, if in future you are getting knowledge from anywhere, please focus on practical knowledge. And if we plan for a next session, it would just be that how to get a job, how to prepare for it. There are many reasons, there are many parameters which have effect on getting a job. So if we prepare plan for another session, we'll be planning for it.
So definitely, sir. In the last of August or first of September, at that time we have a peak of students in our college also. That can be we will be more up to level.
Yeah, yeah, that would be great. And if it would be great if I would see the faces of the students in front of me and they can
Yes, sir.
interact,
Definitely, sir.
I can
Definitely,
ask them questions, etc., that would be
sir. Definitely.
more easy and more feasible.
Okay, sir. We will also plan, if possible, your physical interaction in our college. So let's see the sir next how we can proceed accordingly.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I
sir,
hope I hope the session was good for everyone. You might have not understand everything, because what happens is that just a small thing, and I'll just wrap up my talk. Guest lectures, I was when I was in my college, so we were just attending guest lectures for certificates, right? We had a guest lecture on pharmacovigilance, but what is pharmacovigilance, we did not knew the definition also after that guest lectures. So what happens is that the talk that is done in that guest lecture is very, the talk is of very high quality. Means, now consider I am speaking of CDM, so I'll just speak very high quality talks on CDM, so the freshers would not be able to understand because they do not know what is CDM. So
Bilkul,
my
sir.
mom,
Actually, one more thing, because for the students, it will work as a new things. The
yeah,
things are very
my,
new because you
that's
are
why I
expert in
told.
this. Yes, yes,
Yeah, that's why I told at the starting of the session, I'll keep it to very basics. And if in one session I keep only one slide also, and they understand the definition also, and they understand the clinical trial process also, what happens in clinical trials, the patient comes, etc., etc., that is also more than enough. There is something called as quality rather than quantity, right?
definitely,
Quality matters.
definitely. Okay, sir. Thank you so much for your valuable time. So, being a placement had I again welcome you in the session. Sir, hope so, sir. In future, we will compile so many things for the favor of students. Sir, you are also doing
Yeah,
very good for the community, for the pharmacy professions. How
thank
students
you so
are rising, sir, with your support, with your sir knowledge.
much.
So,
Yeah.
thank you so much, sir. Thank you
Yeah,
so
I
much.
forgot to cover just one topic. I'll not be covering it now. Certificate courses, freshers. Please don't get in traps. I have seen many people getting in traps of certificate courses. There are some good organizations. Okay, if Dr. Amandeep, you want, I am collaborated with some good organization. I can
Please,
bring them, because
definitely.
what happens is there are two types of organizations. One that are working for money. Second, money you have to pay everywhere. Second is that those people who are taking less money, but they are focused on giving people knowledge with certificates. So I know such people, such organizations which are focused on giving knowledge to students. So if we want for final year, if they are interested in certificate courses, if they go outside in the market, they will get it in 30,000, 35,000. So we can bring a trainer to your college and enroll your entire college batch in very less amount in that certificate courses that they would not get in the market anywhere.
So definitely we will plan. Definitely.
Okay, thank you so much everyone.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.